We live?
Yes, it's all live.
All right. Kia ora. Good evening, brothers and sisters. We are here once again to our lovely studies of an Spiritual Group of New Zealand. Good evening to everyone who's online watching us. You can't see us, but you can hear our lovely voices and amazing comments. Good evening to everyone who are here as well. We'd like to mention just a couple of things. I would like to remind everyone that we are on the first World Spiritist Month, and many in the group have done a lovely contribution, and they made a really nice video that you can find it online on our YouTube channel or Instagram page. The video is about how spirits react to skepticism. I said it right. I was practicing, and definitely recommend watching. It's a really amazing content in it. We also like to mention that next week we have our lecture. It will be in English with the amazing Alcione, and the title is Why We Suffer. So please join as well next week for this amazing lecture. Anything else? Phones. Please make sure you turn off your phone.
Pardon? Oi?
E você pode falar para ele.
If you went home.
Você está esquecendo, eu lembro.
Thank you.
What is it? That's it?
That's it? Thanks. So just a reminder, please, if you're here present, just turn off your phones. If you're at home, I'm pretty sure you're going to need your phone to watch us. But let's all focus on our study.
Put it on the steps and I will take you in the middle.
That's correct. Right, we're going to have the living springs.
Oh, sorry.
Will be our first slide. It's okay. We are on the lesson number 10. Yes, indeed. 10. I really think we studied the wrong one. Yes, indeed. Living Springs. Yes, indeed. I'm coming soon. Is that Revelations? 22?
Yes.
22. Thank you. Almost always, while humans being still young, the attitude towards life is that of a child who is unaware of the value of time. They think the days and nights are just too short for their happiness and thrilling adventures. 1,000 enticements of ephemeral illusion obscure the way they see things, and time rushes by in a whirlwind of useless desire. Rare are those who escape such a waste of time. Usually, however, as they grow older and their soul has a relative degree of education, they quickly adjust their concept of time. 1 week is just too short to accomplish what they need to do. Whatever their situation, they now understand that the same endeavors are repeated completely, recapitulated at certain months of the year, just like the seasons of winter and summer, of blossom and fruit bearing in the realm of nature. Then, troubled and anxious, they do all they can to increase their efforts to fill their time or stretch it out. And most often, at the end of the journey, when death takes them in the midst of their duties or entertainments, they have no chance to make up for the years they have wasted. Therefore, do not allow yourself to be embroiled in the human jungle, unconcerned about your spiritual growth on the eternal pathway. In the next to the last verse of the New Testament, the letter of divine love for humankind, the Lord made these solemn promises to the apostle. Yes, indeed, I'm coming to you. I'm coming soon. So use your time wisely and do not delay your preparation. Very nice. All right. Now, if you may please relax wherever you are, take a deep breath, close your eyes if you feel like it. Let's elevate our vibration. Almighty God, thank you so much for another amazing day. Thank you for giving the opportunity for us being here right now. We ask the good spirits, the pure spirit to be around us in this moment of studying and learning. Please allow us to begin another group of studies, Allan Kardec Spirits Group of New Zealand. Please share with us your knowledge. We also welcome all spirits incarnated, disincarnated that are around us at this moment. We welcome you, brothers and sisters, to be here, to learn, to share your knowledge, and move one step forward in this beautiful, amazing progress journey that we all are. Now and always, say God, so be it. For now we are studying the Gospel, chapter 23. Strange morals. Number 9. Is that before that? It's item 4. Maybe 6. The 9 could be a 6.
I think 4, so yeah, if you just.
On forsaking father, mother, and children.
Yeah, you just
Yes.
know my answer.
Yeah. Sorry, I blame money. All right. So in the previous chapter, in the previous studies, we have studied the first piece of chapter 23, which is strange morals. I believe the one we previously studied is called "Whoever Does Not Hate His Father and His Mother." Anyone would like to comment? Anything that they remember from our previous meeting? Carol?
So last week we talked a bit about why the chapter is called Strange Morals. It's not not only because it sounds, because it's something, so we were talking about how it sounds really foreign, how it sounds really weird. The concepts are very, doesn't sound quite right when in the title, there's a small footnote on top of under the title saying what the chapter has in it, and it says like, oh, don't love your father or mother more than you would love God, and how all of those teachings actually sound really, really strange. And then the beginning of the chapter goes on talking about small words or small passages of the gospel, so the Bible, that were mistranslated or that were adapted and not necessarily reflect what actually happened at the time, or the exact words that Jesus used to tell that story. So sometimes can sound a little weird, and that's why we need to use our judgment, we need to question what we're reading to try and interpret and understand it properly. So we did some comparisons with the other parables or other passages that we could remember that also had very different words, like we talked about the camel that actually was supposed to be a rope, not the animal passing through the needle. So when we talk about a camel passing inside the needle, it obviously sounds impossible. When we talk about a really thick rope, then it makes a bit more sense why a person would use the animal in that sentence instead of something really thick. So we talked about how we need to be critical of what we're reading instead of just taking it in. We need to use our knowledge of the basis we have, if that new information never really makes sense when compared and combined to everything else that is written in the Bible, it doesn't make sense that Jesus is telling you not to love someone, or when it's supposed to be, so in that case was a comparison, right? It was that you love less, not that you hate. So Jesus wouldn't talk about hate, he wouldn't talk in comparison with your father and your mother like that. If it doesn't make sense, we can definitely believe there is something mistranslated that miscommunicated.
That's awesome. Thank you. Yeah, so it's that what Karan just said. I guess this chapter, by calling strange morals, parables or phrases that can be misinterpreted. Just like she mentioned about the hate, which doesn't actually mean hate, it just means not love as much as. So we definitely should love our father or mother, family, but not as much as we love God. I believe that this is right. And anyone like to read?
I can read.
You want to go?
Oh, yes, please.
Makes it easier.
Thank you. So number 4, sorry, forsaking father, mother, and children. Number 4, whoever has left his home, or his brothers, or his sisters, or his father, or his mother, or his wife, or his children, or his lands, for my name, shall receive a hundredfold, and shall have eternal life, as in an inheritance. Matthew 19:29. Then Peter said to him, as for us, you can see that we have left everything and followed you. Jesus said to them, verily I say to you, that no one will leave his home, his father, his mother, his brothers, his wife, or his children, for the kingdom of God, who will not receive much more in this world, and in the time to come, eternal life. Luke 18:28-30. Another said to him, Lord, I will follow you, but first allow me to dispose of what I have at home. Jesus answered him, anyone who has put in his hands to the plow and looks back is not fit for the kingdom of God. Luke 9:61-62. Without arguing over words, here we must look for the thought, which was obviously this: the interest of the future life should be placed above all human interests and considerations, because such thought is in accordance with the substance of Jesus' doctrine. Whereas the idea of renouncing one's family would be its negation. Moreover, do we not have before us the application of these maxims in the sacrifice of our interests and family affections for our homelands? Would anyone blame a son for leaving his father, mother, siblings, wife, and children to march in defense of his country? On the contrary, would he who not be worthy of merit for leaving the sweetness of home and the warmth of affection in order to fulfill a duty? Hence, there are duties that are placed above others. Does not the law make it an obligation for the daughter to leave her parents in order to join her husband? The world is replete with cases in which the most heartbreaking separations are necessary. However, affections are not broken because of it. Distance does not lessen the respect of the solicitude that is owed to parents, nor the tenderness towards children. Thus, one can see that even if taken literally, except for the term hate, These words would be neither the negation of the commandments that orders the honoring of father and mother, nor the sentiment of parental affection. Even more so if taken according to their spiritual meaning. These words had the purpose of using a hyperbole to show how imperative the duty was to concern oneself with the future life. Furthermore, they must have been less shocking in a culture and time in which, as a result of customs, family ties had less strength than in a morally more advanced civilization. Such ties, weaker and earlier cultures, became strengthened with the development of sensibility and moral sense. Separation itself is necessary for progress. It occurs in families as well as in cultures, which would degenerate if there were no intermingling and if they did not incorporate one another. It is a law of nature, as much in the interest of moral progress as the interest of physical progress. These matters are examined here solely from the earthly point of view. Spiritists enable us to see them from higher up by showing that the true bonds of affection reside in the spirit and not in the body, that such bonds cannot be broken by separation, or even by the death of the body, and that they are strengthened in the spirit's life through the spirit's purification, a comforting truth that provides much strength for bearing life's vicissitudes.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's a really nice chapter, isn't it?
Yeah.
Would you like to comment about it?
Yeah, sure. So it's a very beautiful message, and a reminder for us about the future life, because we are so focused on the present life, which is important. Of course, we all have our responsibilities and things, our duties that we have to do, but we place more interest and we place our focus in the present life. But Spirit is always, and Jesus here is reminding us that life is eternal. So this is only temporary. That's only is going to pass. It's going to finish at some point, and then we will keep going. And so the most important, the focus on the future life means we doing our improvement, we looking after, pay attention in our vices and try to change them, pay attention in the virtues as well, and try to do better. In that part of the separation, somehow remind me of when most of us are separated from our loved ones. So everyone here is from Brazil, so parents or relatives maybe are far away, but that doesn't stop the love or doesn't change the affection. So it's just the distance. So it's in the same way that if we focus on the spiritual life, and here in that example, he's not saying that we should not love the ones that we love already, or people in our life, but we need to place attention, energy, and focus in our spiritual life. Yeah, something like that. There we go. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you. Anyone else would like to comment? Nothing? Yeah? Hello?
Really well. Yeah, I think it's I had the same thought as Alcione when I was reading this, that it makes me think straight away that the proof that you can be separated and the ties are not broken is that we all have it, right? Hopefully. We all have a connection with people far away, either in Brazil or somewhere else in the world, you know? And we know also that doesn't end with the end of the physical life, that we believe in the spiritual world. We understand that we still have the spirit. We will always have that feeling and memories and etc. So it's quite interesting that talks about talks about the time that this was written, and it says that it must have been like shocking in a culture and in time which, as a result of customs, family ties had less strength than in a morally more advanced civilization. So now that we are, even though it doesn't look like a lot of times, in a more evolved, more or less civilization, and we do have now very strong family ties or very strong ties with other spirits, right? Not just our family. Sometimes it's the family we chose. Sometimes it's the family we created with our partners. So we have much stronger ties than people had at the time. So when those sentences, when this teaching was passed on to us, we were not advanced as we are now, morally speaking, and it wouldn't sound so weird saying that you have to leave your home, you have to leave your daughter, and etc. It wouldn't sound as weird as it would sound now. But also goes on saying that right now we can't interpret that as being exactly what we read because it goes against Jesus' teachings, like we were saying in the beginning. Because Jesus would say that we have to care for life, for human life, first and foremost, every time. So abandoning your children doesn't sound very much like Jesus. So obviously it's not abandoning, it's not leaving, but we have to remember that, and that also makes me think of the Living Spring page that we read that talked about time. That we always think we have a lot of time. When we are young and we live like there's no tomorrow, right? It's or that we always have tomorrow in that case. That we live and forget that time will pass and that this incarnation will end. So we have to live and educate our children or live our lives like we are going to live at any time because it might happen, right? We might not have the chance to say sorry tomorrow. We might not have the chance to say I love you tomorrow. So we need to remember that those things need to be done now, not because you're never going to have the chance of staying or doing it again, because we know we're going to meet again, but because it might be a long time to meet again. So, yeah, I thought it was quite nice that it tied up together as usually does.
It is interesting to think about time, right? For us human beings, it is a bless and a curse at the same time. You do not know if you're going to be here tomorrow. Not that it's a bad thing, but you can also just call it forever. You can just love someone, you can just forgive someone forever right now because tomorrow does not belong to us. So there's an enormous power that we have in each of our hands. It's really interesting to think that each day that we live is unique. We have never lived before, and we're not going to live that day again. So make yourself proud. Make the ones around you proud. I guess just going back to the Living Spring, time is probably one of the most valuable things that we as humans have. So it's always good to remember, always pay attention on those who give you time, those who give you daytime, they talk to you, they pay attention to what you're saying. It is a treasure. It is one of those treasures that we cannot put in our pockets. But if that person is giving you something that is unique, right? No matter how rich you are, time will remain the same. All of us will have 24 hours every day, right? And back to the gospel, yes, like you guys already mentioned, I found so interesting that he obviously explains that we should not leave our brothers, sisters, father, mother behind. That family is really important. But he also mentions that if you think about it, during the war, people will leave their family behind and they will be considered heroes. We left our country looking for something better, and we did left physically our family behind, but not emotionally, like Osori said. Emotion does not depend on the distance. You will love someone, you'll meet someone, no matter how far they are, even if the distance means being disincarnated, being in a different realm than where we live right now. the emotions, the feelings, the love, they still remain, right? And it's good for us to cultivate those feelings instead the hate, the jealousy, the anger. Those ones also exist without a distance to interfere. So we always have to think about the quality of the emotions that we have. Um, at the end of the chapter, it mentions to chapter 4 and chapter 14. And I did have a look at that, and it's really interesting. The chapter 4, number 18, talks about family ties, which become stronger, like Carol says, when we have more moral and intellectual progress. But also, they become stronger with reincarnation. So they become stronger because we are here again, um, completing something that we potentially didn't complete the last time. And it's interesting that we think about the families that we have. I was talking just before the meeting about the family that we have here right now on Earth. They could be a stranger. They could be a spirit they never interacted before, or could be a spirit they've been interacting for many lifetimes. Um, and it's interesting to think about also our family that is not here incarnated at the same time as us. They are probably around us right now, helping us progress. So they still a family, they still loving us. So that's why we're taking turns, right? And I believe the next one, we're gonna be there being the support, right? And helping them, just like when we do the meeting, someone's the support. So we're always gonna have them around us. And it's also interesting to think how reincarnation does make these ties stronger, and the opposite of that if we did not reincarnate, that would make a weaker, because we may have vicissitudes and we may have bad feelings that go across centuries without having been worked on. So again, it's just a bless that God has given to us. What else did I put here? It's interesting also that I mentioned that blood ties does not necessarily mean ties among spirits. Like I said, sometimes we're just born here and your brother or your mother, your father could be a totally stranger, or could be someone, a spirit that engages with you and really wants to help you. And in this life plane, we just get them together with us, right? So in the end, we are all brothers and sisters. I also found a very interesting part on living springs, which I'm going to give a little spoil, but the lesson 59, which is called the cycles, Emmanuel talks about the devotion and the discipline required to follow Jesus, and how that Jesus' standards will create this community that we have with him. And that's exactly what it talks on this chapter. It's not that it's saying go leave your family behind, but it's saying you should give a lot of importance to God's love, to the way you follow Jesus' path, the way you do charity, the way you do love, and that should be the most important thing you do, right? Anyone else want to comment? No? Do we vote more?
Yeah, I think so. Just as you were on
It's not too big, the next
No.
one, it's not too long.
Do you want to keep reading or? Yeah, sure. Thank you.
You're welcome. Leave to the dead the care of burying their dead. He says to another, follow me, but we responded, Lord, first I must go and bury my father. Jesus replied, leave to the dead the care of burying their dead. As for you, go and proclaim the kingdom of God. Luke 9:59. Another strange one, right? Another strange
Definitely,
one.
yeah.
If you just look.
How the death is going to bury someone, right?
Yeah, just
It's scary talk about zombies.
But here comes the explanation. What could these words mean? Leave to the dead the care of burying their dead. The preceding considerations show first that, under the circumstances in which they were spoken, they could not express criticism against someone who regarded a duty of filial devotion to go and bury his father. However, they entail a deeper meaning that can only be understood with a more complete knowledge of the spirit life. Life in the spirit world is in fact the true life. It is the normal life of the spirit, whose earthly existence is only transitory and passing. It is a sort of death when compared to the splendor and activity of the spirit life. The body is nothing more than a coarse garment that temporarily cloaks the spirit, a true fetter that holds it imprisoned to the earth, and from which it is happy to be delivered. The respect one has for the dead is not bound to the physical manner of the body, but to the remembrance of the absent spirits. It is analogous to that which we have for the objects that belong to the deceased and were touched by him or her, and which are kept as remembrances. This is what this man could not understand by himself. Jesus taught him by saying, "Do not worry about the body, but think first of the spirits. Go and teach the kingdom of God. Go and tell others in their homelands. It's not on the earth, but in heaven, for true life is found only there." It's really beautiful, eh?
It is.
So, again, it's reminding us about the spiritual life and the real life, because this is really transitory. Of course, it's very important in our material life, but it's going to end as we all are going to disincarnate, whether we like or not. And so, yeah, we do live like we had previous lives, which we don't remember at the moment for the most part. Some people can, depending on the case, and we're going to have other ones. But Jesus are just reminding us of the importance of, again, applying our knowledge, applying our energy, and trying to do our best to follow Jesus' teachings, because that's, in the end of the day, is more important, our eternal life. In our body, we do still, of course, have the rituals, and many people need to go to the place where someone is buried to talk with them or to pay the respects. But as spiritists, as multi-spiritualists, we understand that to pay the respects or to remember, we don't need to physically be next to the body that belongs to some spirits. If we just elevate our thoughts when we think about them, when we pray for them, we are already connected and we are already near them. Not being close to the body, the material body, that's not going to make much difference. It's more about the intention and the sentiment. So yes, we do have to respect them. We do have to. We can keep our love, but the body is just an instrument for us while we're here to just be in line, work, do the things, and yeah, it's just landed to us. Why? We just borrow it, we use, and then at some point, our spirits, our soul will keep going, and the body will go back to the earth or to the grave. Yeah, but it's all about, I think the important part is to be really aware of it, yeah, and try to use the time, going back to the time wisely, because we don't know for how long we are here in this planet, which even use the word like we are imprisoned, like we are attached here. We can't just, okay, now I want to go. No, we are here for a while, and so we have our trials, our expiations, the things that we have to go through. So, some people may consider their life as a prison to be here. We should really consider it as a school, because the opportunity for us to learn, to test ourselves, and to be better than we were in previous lives, and just keep going in our progress. But yeah, I think the main message is that one, to really pay attention in our spiritual life and do the best we can at the moment here. So when we pass away, our spiritual life will be more beautiful, more colorful. Yeah.
Truly beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you. Amazing. Anyone else? You sure? No? You guys are good?
Yeah, I think it's what it took me a while to think about the sentence to try and interpret in a way that it would sound better. But I think when he said, so this is what someone talk, is it Luke talking to Jesus, right? Yeah. So then he said, oh, I first have to go and bury my father. Jesus said, leave the dead, the care of burying their dead. As for you, go and proclaim the kingdom of God. And then it goes saying like, oh, it does sound weird that he would say for Luke not to go and fulfill his duties with his father. So it makes way more sense when we talk about that Jesus is trying to make Luke understand that once the person has passed, but they are not fully gone. So then you don't, I would say it sounds much more like you don't have to be with your father to be with your father. It sounds much more like he would have said something about going to see his father, going to be with his father, and having to go to the place, like Pastor said, where his father has been buried. And Jesus was saying, actually, you don't have to. You can connect with your father, even though he's incarnated. You can talk to him anywhere, and he will always be with you. You will always have that connection. So when the explanation from Kardec goes on talking about how we also should consider the true life, the spiritual life, makes it even more sense than he says that maybe got translated as dead, lead to the dead, to bury the dead, which is people probably now that your father is disincarnated, that he is back to the real life, he will be surrounded by other spirits. He'll be joining the spiritual life. And now that you're here on earth, still living, that is still incarnated, you need to live where you are, right? You need to. It's really hard when someone really close to us, like a father or a partner or someone that we're really close, that we used to seeing or talking in a regular basis, disincarnate, especially when it's sudden, because we do miss them a lot. But we can't stop living because this person is gone. Because first of all, we need to carry on with this incarnation. We can't waste the time thinking about stop living because this person is gone. And second, because we need to let them live. We know that the more time that we spend thinking and just attracting the person to the material life again, to the earth again, we won't let them carry on with their journey on the spiritual life. We know how important it is and how much our thoughts can actually keep pulling the spirit back towards us. So we need to let them go for both our good and also the spirit that is incarnated. They need to carry on with their journey. And as we said on the topic before, it doesn't mean that lives will be broken, that we will love them less if we let them go. But we all know how hard it is to let someone go. So that's a true demonstration of love, right?
Probably means you love them more. Because you let them go because you know it's good for them, right?
Yeah.
When I was reading this chapter and I read the title of it, in my mind, all those videos that I watched about spirits preparing incarnated body to disincarnate, they disconnect the ties and everything. And I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Let these spirits do the work. I don't know how to do that. I just said it somehow it does make sense. One good thing to mention is that just because we do have the knowledge, just because we understand that this is just a temporary form and that our spirit is eternal, does not mean that we're not going to suffer, does not mean that we're not going to miss people, does not mean that we can control all the emotions we have. It is part of who we are. It is part of being human. It's having emotions. The fact that we have the knowledge about immortality and we know our loved ones will be near us, for us, still a huge part of our lives. We miss people. We love them so much that we want to spend time with them. We want to spend that precious thing that we just mentioned, which is time with them. And it's probably something that I myself, I don't know if you guys do as well, think a lot when you hear about someone who just passed. You just remember by your loved ones, right? You remember how you should spend time with them and how you should do things with them. And that is always a constantly reminder every time we see it. For us that actually live so far away from our homeland and from so many members of our family, we have definitely experienced losing someone, if we can say losing, or someone just passing and we're not being there, right? We see so many people that have this desperate need to go and see the disincarnated body, to say the farewell, to say the goodbye. But we all know for real, it's not saying, because the body, that's just our organic vessel that's left behind. The spirit is elsewhere. Sometimes the spirit right next to it, but majority of the time it's elsewhere. So that's why we have to remember that even we cannot be there physically, our thoughts and the way you see it, the way you think, it's already delivered the message. In the past 2 years, I believe the world have experienced that a lot. There is so many people that disincarnated from COVID, and due to the distance, due to the restrictions, we could not be there. We could not be there on the last moment. We could not be there during the suffering. We could not be there when the person was going 7 feet down. So, but that does not mean we don't love them. And that connects back to the previous part where we talk about the distance and the feelings. So once again, no matter how far they are, no matter if they are in another realm, they still here, they still love you. And like Carol said, when we love, we let it go, right? Some of us will have children here. Some of us, all of us potentially have to leave our houses, left our houses at some stage, and we have our parents that probably felt the pain of letting the son and the daughter go, right? So we probably have that exact feeling. If you do not have a son or a daughter, you must have a loved one that you actually let it go because the time has come, right? Yeah, it's a lot to reflect on that one, a lot to think about it. But the most important message is love is love, right? No matter the distance, it's always going to be love, right?
Just something came up to my mind. In some of those, Andrea book or Spiritist books, we can see the difference between our view, like the incarnated view of when someone dies, which many times, as Togun described, of course we feel sad, we feel sorry, and we want more time with the person that passed away. On the other hand, the superior spirits, they are very happy receiving the person that went to the spiritual plane. They are very happy because that spirit completed whatever they had to complete on earth and now is free. Because it's kind of not a prison. There are more limitations to the body that we have here. And then when we pass away, we get lots of freedom in a way. So in many of the books, there is like a celebration. They are happy and they are there to help and to receive the ones going there. So with lots of sadness and happiness there. So it's like a contradiction, and it's very interesting to see that they say, oh, you came back to the real life. You did, of course, some, depending on how people live their lives here, it could be a very hard, lots of, how do I say, not disturbing, but in the, so a difficult phase until they are actually get help and everything else, depending. But spirits that did well here, they'll have a big fire when they get there. So it's very interesting to see how that works. Our view and the view of people that, the spirits that are in the spiritual plane.
And we're going to be there, right?
Sorry?
Right now we have the view of this side.
Yeah,
but
we'll see the other side.
In a few years, hopefully long years, we'll have the view of the other side, where we're gonna see your loved ones. And what would you tell your loved ones? Would you tell them, please cry for me? No, right? You're not gonna say that. You're gonna say, don't live your life, don't be happy. I'm happy here, I'm fine here. I'm carrying on. You should do the same, right?
Exactly.
Don't cry for me. All right. Now we're gonna read the Spirit book. We are on question 4, 5, 6. You want to take this?
The battery, you want to have a look there? It says going to closing steps, go back.
Yeah.
Oh,
It says it's gonna close in 30 seconds. And I put it in. Nice.
458. What do the spirits who surround and observe us think about us? That depends. Frivolous spirits laugh at the little announces they cause you, and they scoff at your impatience. Serious spirits, on the other hand, pity your imperfections and try to help you.
I believe we can comment a little bit about it. How about you wanna first?
Yeah, I made it more quick.
I believe we're back now.
Yeah.
Once again, apologies. Cell phone decided to shut it down. Yeah. So thank you guys. Anyone like to comment?
I can start.
Yeah.
So that'll be a very, very interesting chapter. And in here, in these questions, we can have an idea that in Spiritism tell us in other books that spirits are around us. So it doesn't matter, we don't need to be in a spiritist center to have spirits around us, or a church, or any specific place. Everywhere there are spirits around us. So that's just a reality, something that if these questions here, if they see everything we do, they will see what they are interested. So same here in life. We are attracted to a few things in our lives. So some people like, let's say, do sports or watch sports. Some people like dancing. Some people like learning. And people will pay attention or see things that they are interested. So same with the spirits. The spirits that are around us, most likely they were here before they did there, as we were talking in the other one. So they were like us, and now they incarnate, so they are on the other side. And therefore, they will be interested in things that they used to be interested. And the other one the core 58 is an interesting question too, because what they think about us when they observe us, what are their opinion. So it depends on their evolutionary level. If they are imperfect spirits like us, they may even love, or they may, what it says here, yeah, they may even be, oh, poor, not feel sorry, but yeah. But if they are superior spirits, if we are not well, they will feel sorry for us, they will wish that we do better, so it depends on their level of evolution. And yeah, they can also know our thoughts and everything. So even though we are by ourselves, we need to be aware there are spirits around us, and the quality of spirits we'll see in other questions will depend on our vibration level, on our evolution and stuff. But the first step is to be aware. Yeah, there are spirits around us.
Nice. And just a little recap for those who may have fallen down because of our connection. We are reading chapter 9 of the Spirits book. We just have started this new chapter, and we just have reading a few questions regarding the thoughts by spirit. It's so interesting how that connects to what we just spoke about, right, on the gospel, about our thoughts and the things that we think, and how we message them, and how we connect to the spirit. And he's saying that spirits, they're not just around you, they don't just influence the way you think, but they can also even change the way we see things. And just like Alcione said, the quality of your thinking, the quality of your moral intellectual will attract similar spirits, right? So that's why it's good for us to always keep a positive and elevated vibration, so those spirits will be around us. They only come around you if they're interested in you. So if you don't have a good vibe, if you don't really select the best way of thinking or the best opinion about things, those kind of spirit will also be next to you, which probably gonna make your mentality a little bit hard, right? Anyone else wanna comment? No? No? No?
I think some training for when we are disincarnated, where obviously when we don't have the physical body stopping our thoughts anymore, everybody will be able to see and hear everything we think, right? So the physical body is what stops us here incarnated from hearing each other's thoughts to actually being able to hear and see, and in lack of better words, hearing and seeing the feelings and the thoughts of the person on our side. But when you lose the physical body, you won't be able to hide it anymore. You won't be able to say something and think something else. Our true thoughts and feelings will be out there. So imagine living like that. You can't hide. You have to actually own your thoughts. It's a really, really hard thing to do if you try to control it. If you ever tried, tried meditating, you know it's really hard to control our thoughts. You can't stop thinking. You can't pause your mind. So you need to learn how to live with it and how you use that towards this meditative state. So I think it would be 1,000 times harder doing it all the time while you're trying to actually accomplish tasks when doing it, right? So that's a big difference between us and way more evolved spirits, is that they have full control of their thoughts, and we clearly don't. So it's good practice now, while we can't fully control, when we actually catch ourselves having some thoughts that are not so nice, then we actually notice. It's already a big thing. So awareness is the first step for change, right? So when we catch it and we're like, oh, that was not so nice of me to think about it. Why am I thinking that? Why is it a problem? And hopefully next time we won't do it again. But if we don't train our thoughts, we won't be able soon. We won't even be able to control our mouths, right? It starts in the head, and then sooner than later, we're actually talking to people the way we thought. Or if we don't change the train of thought, the vibration that we are on that day, you are really annoyed, woke up already not in a good place, carry on thinking like, oh, this day is going to be horrible, oh my god, I'm dreading going to the meeting, this is not going to be good. The first person that crosses your path that maybe you encounter in the hallway and the person didn't see you, you lashes out at the person because you have been on that vibration. It's almost like you've been making yourself ready for that encounter. The first person that crosses your path is gonna take all, you're gonna lash out all the bad energy that you have been cooking with the help of whatever spirits are around you. You're gonna lash out on top of that person. Or the other way around. You will leave the house thinking, oh, what a good day, I'm so blessed. Look at this blue sky, look at this today is gonna be, I have a hard meeting, but it's gonna be great. I'm sure we can figure it out. We're gonna sort the problems, the meeting will be done, and I'll have the rest of my day to think about it, to carry on, and then someone bumps on you in the hallway, and you don't get angry, you turn to the person and say, it's alright, are you alright? I'm alright, let's carry on with our days, and everything goes well. It really depends on the way we're thinking, and this type of days that we have that are really bad or really good, to me, is also proof that spirits are around us and in connection with us. Depending on how we are vibrating, the day is going to carry on going well or badly because we are in really good company or really bad company. So the trend tends to go as we feel, right, as we vibrate forwards. And it's also a great way to keep us in check with what we're doing, thinking that it doesn't matter what we're doing, we're always being observed. And not in a way that just someone is there actually taking notes and watching this. It's just, would we actually be doing that if we knew someone was seeing? Or are we doing it because we think no one is watching? You know, if we have to hide to do something, is it really right? Is it really the right thing? You know, so I think it is something to think about. If there's always someone watching, if there's always someone with us, if we're always accompanied, would we think more about the things we do? Would we think more about the things we think, about the way we act? You know?
Nice. We are good as the quality of our thoughts, right?
Very good.
All right. Anyone else want to comment anything else? No? All right. Thanks very much. And give us a note of where we stopped so we can carry on with the next meeting, which is after next week. Next week we have a lovely lecture. Please be here. It's going to be awesome. And now it comes the time where we're going to do our collective vibration, which is going to be led by Carol.
Yes.
My favorite.
Oh,
Recognize?
playlist.
Yeah. Found it?
That sometimes it doesn't turn it on.
Doesn't want to be pissed off.
Yeah, it doesn't want to be.
Is that loud?
Interesting. Right. We're going now to do our collective vibration, and after that our initial prayer. So tonight we're going to vibrate all together instead of the individual vibration of our individual being. We are going to vibrate together. So now I'll invite all of you at home, all of you here, incarnated or disincarnated, that we all have a seat in our chairs, if incarnated, have a seat in our chairs, and have a deep breath in, and out through the mouth, a deep breath out. We sit down now, feeling our bodies heavy in our chairs, in our beds, whatever we are sitting on. We feel our heart pumping in our chest. We feel the energy surrounding us. And we focus on our breathing. We talked so much today about controlling our thoughts. We're going to give it a try in the next couple minutes to focus on my thoughts, focus on our own breathing. Feel the air coming in through our nose, feeling in our lungs, expanding our chest, our diaphragm, and coming out through our noses or through our mouths, spreading out into the room, floating around us. This air, just like our thoughts, spread around us, reaching out to people around us, reaching out to people that are not physically close to us. We now spend some time imagining someone we know, someone we might have heard of, someone we have met but know that is in need. We imagine this person or these people. We imagine them sitting down on a chair, just like our one, in a room, just like our room. We imagine them seated, breathing in and out, and receiving all this air, surrounded by all this air that surrounds us at this moment. We imagine this person or these people surrounded by a great amount of energy. Healing, loving, consoling, charitable energy. Incarnated or disincarnated, these people, these spirits will receive from us this great hug, filled with the best energy we can provide, with the best thoughts we can provide. Those are thoughts of forgiveness, of charity, thoughts of love. We are sending love towards those brothers and sisters in need, those brothers and sisters in pain, those brothers and sisters in need of help, in need of faith. We imagine this light, this energy arriving around them, surrounding them, engulfing their bodies, their spirits. And now, we'll do our final prayer, asking the permission of the friendly spirituality here with us, our mentors of the Untitled Spiritist group, our own mentors. We ask your permission to finish the meeting of tonight. We thank you for your presence, for always being here for us, supporting us, enlightening us in every meeting, but also in our steps here on this journey in life, on earth. We thank all people, all spirits that participated here tonight, incarnated or disincarnated, here in person or watching us from home. We ask that this marvelous energy around us tonight continue to surround us until next week, when we shall be reunited here again to renew it. We thank you for your patience on dealing with our mistakes, with our worries, with our silly concerns of the day-to-day here on earth. We thank you for being with us, for guiding us and helping us. We thank you for the opportunity of being here studying together, for being here in New Zealand and finding each other, for the opportunity of coming here tonight and hopefully living a little better than when we arrived. We ask Jesus, our brother, Father, that you bless those nations who are passing through times of trouble, of war, or still through a huge amount of stress and losses because of COVID, because of the pandemic. We ask that you continue to bless them all, and that we continue to seize opportunities of helping people in need, of helping people around us and people far away, with not just our actions, but also our prayers and thoughts, that we may remember that this phase too shall pass, and that we will all arrive better spirits on the other side, that we may remember this also in our day-to-day troubles, and that we keep having faith, that our faith keeps getting stronger and stronger by the day with all the challenges on planet Earth. We ask that you bless all of those who couldn't be here tonight, that we may be reunited again next week. Thank you, Sophie.
Thank you very much, everyone who participated online. And I hope you have a blessed week and see you next week. Thank you. Thanks, Manny.